Greetings. This week's gonna look a little different. We knew the unseasonably warm weather wasn't gonna last forever, and sure enough, we're gonna have, well, we've had a pretty good cold snap all of a sudden, and we're looking at rain and possibly even snow by a week from now. So yay for the Midwest, where the weather changes every day. Because of that, we've got some inside projects that we're going to tackle, because there's plenty to do inside as well. We have been super busy doing all kinds of things that we just couldn't bring you guys along with because we've been going in 500 different directions. So I'm going to do a quick update. One of our inside projects is going to be fixing the damage that the little bunnies have done in the house, and then finally finishing a bathroom that we've been postponing doing for 13 years or something like that. So as part of that process, we couldn't really do, drywall and paint and whatnot with the bunnies in the room that they've been living in. So they got moved outside. Little did we know, we did know, we just didn't pay attention to the fact that the temperatures were going to plummet, and I feel really bad. So we're doing everything we can to keep the poor little bunnies warm now that they're outside. We've insulated and we've given them snuggle boxes, and we've got the infrared heater on them, and actually they seem to be faring okay. So they are adjusting to their new outside accommodations, as cobbled together as they may be. Hopefully they're just kind of temporary while we do some construction in their regular habitat. But I'm pretty pleased because even though outside it got down to like 17 last night, I managed to keep the barn at 40 degrees. So feeling pretty successful that we managed to keep it as warm as we did. And the bunnies seem to be doing okay. I've been worried sick about moving them outside right before this cold, but they don't seem to care. So that's good. If you haven't had the privilege of having house bunnies, you don't know these things. People talk about them chewing on wires, and some do. Most of them leave wires alone, but some also chew on drywall, which is awesome. So this is the unfinished bathroom that they've been living in, for as long as we've had them, all their life. And even though we did our best to keep them away from the walls with fencing and cardboard and paneling and all kinds of stuff, you can still see that there are places where they managed to go in and have a little drywall snack. And so we've got to repair all that. I've never done drywalling before. This will be a new adventure. And everybody promises that an adventure it will be. So aren't you excited to be along? One of our other inside projects that I don't know if we'll subjugate you guys to or not is finishing our trim pieces. As you can see, the bunnies got to the drywall out here as well. So we have some drywall repair and paint repair to do before we even put up the trim, because the trim's not going to cover all of that. But we never got around to finishing the trim down here. This is just kind of like, this is the utility bathroom that's right next to the barn. This is the utility entryway. We just never bothered to put the trim up, but we need to. So that is one of our indoor projects as well. But before we get to any of that, we have a side quest. We've got the barn closed down pretty well. I'm trying to keep it warm for the bunnies, so the ponies are doing half doors today. That way they still have ventilation, but we also hopefully are keeping it warm enough for the rabbits. Our side quest is going to be moving all our pallets and I don't know what to call the side pieces that we use for the hay. I finally have fed the last round bale, and so we get to move all this up into the hay barn now that there's a place for it, and get it out of the way down here. So side quest underway. So we have the forks on Bob. We're going to try taking our side panels up first. Then we've got to move some stuff and figure out where we're going to put them, but we might as well make the trip worth our while. the forklifts. Just really not used to being able to make things easier. It's really nice. Now it's off to the hay barn. So out here, as usual, we're going to have a bit of a puzzle because we're still using this space for both hay storage and alternative storage. We're going to need to move Smokey, this old boy, good old truck. And we're also going to need to move the bale spear. And my goal is to put them back in this corner where the round bales had been. And I want to put them on a pallet because then we can easily pick them up and move them in the future the next time we have to undo this puzzle. So I think first order of business is moving Smokey, and there's nothing special about that. I guess the special thing about moving Smokey is even though it's ridiculously cold outside, he just starts right up and purrs like a dream. Gosh, I love this old truck. It's a good truck. I try to always think things through, but I don't always succeed. So I'm now presented with a problem. I got in a hurry, and I went ahead and stacked all those up on the forks. I'm very happy with the way they are. But I kind of need the tool cat, or Bob, to move the bale spear. But I don't know if I could take the pallet forks off without losing my load. Problem solving. Well, I said I wanted to put those on a pallet anyway, right? So we're going to grab a pallet, and we're going to put those on a pallet, and then we'll take off the forks, and then we'll move the bale spear, and then hopefully we'll pick up the pallet with all these pieces on it and move it to where it wants to go. We'll see if it works. In hindsight, which I developed right about the time I pulled up to the pallet, I should have stacked those on a pallet to start with. There was no way with my very limited machine operating skills that I was going to be able to slide those off on the pallet. Now, if I had an extra hand and somebody could have helped push, or if I'd been a little better operator, maybe. This so wasn't going to happen to me. So we're going to restack them. Could be way worse. weigh a whole lot. So maybe my learning curve will save me a bunch of struggle a little later on. If you don't have enough hands, use your head. It's always better if you use your head before you need to use your hands, but, you know, you don't always get that lucky. Now the really tricky thing, am I going to be able to take this stack apart without it playing pickup sticks? I don't know. Well, that's not the side to pull from. This side might work. Maybe if I rotate sides? No, still not that. Still this side. There we go. We'll call this one Farm Jenga. Does it matter if they fall over? Not really, but there's a chance that they'll break if they do, so it's better if they don't. About you guys, but I am vastly impressed that this is still standing. I don't think we can get it any farther though. Now on to moving the other stuff. This part at least should be easy. Now we just pick up the bale spear, put it out in storage where the forks had been, and then come back and get the forks and move stuff. I'm a unicorn! Woohoo! The bale spear out here with the other attachments because really we shouldn't be using it anymore until hay season comes around again. However, the pallet forks we'll probably be using a lot as we continue to play puzzle pieces in the hay barn. So bale spear is going to take the pallet forks place in equipment row for the moment. Now for the real test. Can I get those picked up on the pallet and then moved? I might have forgotten to actually attach the forks instead of just picking them up. And so when I backed out from underneath them, well, I left the forks behind. So now we have to try picking them back up again and getting them out from under the pallet. Thankfully that fix only took a tiny bit of finagling and everything is a-okay. I think we're ready to go retrieve the pallets now. There are half as many pallets, which is awesome. That means half as much work, right? Well, they're easily twice as heavy, if not more. So I actually expect to struggle with this just a hair more. Plus, my first task is to get the forks on the toolcat spread a bit further so that they fit under these pallets. And that is always really hard for me to do. I'm just not strong enough in my upper body. Just to clarify, this is absolutely not the way this is supposed to be done, but I'm going to give it a shot. I need to thread the first pallet onto the pallet forks. Maybe not the way it was supposed to be done, but it worked. And on this uneven ground, I think it was probably way easier than trying to do it the way you're supposed to do it, where you drive under the pallet. So now we just stack up the rest. I was going to try to keep them separate, but it turns out almost all of them need repair. We knew we were using kind of not great wood when we made these, but we wanted to test the concept for a season and make sure they worked the way we thought they would before we invested a large amount of money in good quality lumber. So we have some repairs to do. It is what it is. The good thing is the system worked, so it's worth doing the repairs and maybe using quality lumber this time. I've been saving this pallet out because he's the pallet that had been put in the barn sideways, and I wasn't sure if maybe there was something special about him, and I wanted to keep him separate. And I do think he may be made slightly differently, so we're going to put his little runners in there to delineate that he's a special pallet, and then I'm going to put that last extremely broken one on, and we'll be good to go. There really just wasn't much left to that poor broken pallet. He was the very first pallet that I tried to move, and I had forgotten that we needed to use the fork extenders, and I just demolished it when I was moving it, and it was completely my bad. I was ramming and in a hurry and didn't follow the process, and it killed that pallet. I don't think we're probably going to be able to salvage it, but it might as well go up there anyway. And then I also discovered that one of the side panels wasn't in the side panel pile. That's going to get to go up there too. On a side note, you really shouldn't wear holey jeans when you're doing farm chores because they don't protect you very well. However, you wear what you got. Oh, give it gas. Always got to give it gas. Nice snug fit, just how we like. Yeah, I feel really good about that. Really cleans up down around by the barn, gets these better under cover so they don't have to worry about the weather quite as much. They're up here where they belong when it's time for hay season. It's going to be a little bit of a pain to put the side pieces behind the pallets as we clear off some of the rest of the hay, but we don't have a whole lot of hay left to feed yet, so it's not going to be that much, and I feel good about that. Side quest complete. I've been watching the Vancouver Carpenter for tips on how in the world to tackle my bunny deconstruction reconstruction project. And apparently the first thing when you're dealing with roughed up, torn up drywall like that is to use whatever one of these are called, a scraper, a bunny knife, I don't know, one of these things, and smooth the walls all down, and then prime it. So this is my first attempt at drywall. Here we go. The good thing is a lot of this is going to be behind trim, so it's a good place to practice. The other good thing is that the bunnies seem to have done a really effective job at smoothly stripping this all down, so there's not much for me to do. This closet's probably one of the worst places. Apparently one of them got in here and just absolutely went to town. Why do we care what the inside of a closet looks like? I don't know, but we do. I think I've pretty well tackled the scraping of the scratched up, scraped up drywall. So now I'm gonna sweep up and get myself some floor covering because the next step is priming. I read the directions thoroughly, and it says nothing about mixing or shaking or anything like that. So I hope that's the case. We'll just open it and pour it. It's a shellac-based primer, which is what Vancouver Carpenter said to use for this. So that's what we're going to do. I'm working in the bathroom first because, in theory, we're going to be covering the walls with a plastic sheeting board stuff to make it good and waterproof, and that way whatever I do gets covered up. Learning curve. Really hate paint. That's not true. I like paint. I really hate the mess that comes with it. Well, that glove's going to do a lot. Apparently I only wanted one glove. That is really runny. Please packaging. Here goes nothing. Okay. Wow, it's been a really long time since I painted anything. Also, this roller is just too wide for this tray. Super. It's really runny. Is it supposed to be that color? Or if I really should have stirred it? I have no idea. I think I'm going to try stirring it and see if it changes texture or consistency at all, because that seems really runny. I don't know. All it's supposed to do is seal. Maybe it doesn't matter that it's runny. There's definitely some chunky stuff down in here, so I'm thinking it was supposed to be stirred or shaken or however you like your martini paint primer prepared. So I'm going to stir on it a little bit and see if we get a much different result, but it feels like it definitely needed to be agitated in some manner. That's me, agitating. That is a much better texture, I think. Anyway, what do I know? But we're going to go with that. See how that goes. I'm really glad I put floor covering down, because I am getting it everywhere. Messy, messy Melinda. Okay, let's try this again. Oh yeah, that's more like it. That actually looks like paint. Good news, everyone. Seems like the primer goes straight through my drop cloth, which is an old bed sheet, and onto the floor. So I could figure out how to get that off the floor. Good thing I started in the bathroom. Finding my drop cloth to be basically useless and maybe making the problem worse. I've given up on the drop cloth, and I'm going to use a paper towel and just clean up as I go and hope that's good enough. Yeah, that seems to be working better. Paper towel is thin enough that I can get it under the wall, basically. spooky there. Clean up on aisle, whatever this is. Got a little carried away in the corner, and have a bit of a mess to clean up. Going to go through a lot of paper towels. Also have no idea how I'm going to get it off the wood. Should have taped it, thought of it, didn't do it, should have taped it. But for the most part, using the paper towel is working better. Well, despite a little bit of a messy start, I'm pretty okay with how that came out. Definitely looks like an improvement from where we started. But I think that means the next bit is actually mudding. And that's where it gets truly terrifying. Wish me luck. Also, I may have gotten slightly carried away in this closet because turns out there was a good portion of the closet that hadn't been primed the first time we were priming stuff. So I got to prime a lot in the closet, but it does look a lot better now that that's done. Well, the weather the last few days is actually far better than they were predicting. So instead of doing the mudding inside, we've been playing in the, not really mud, but manure outside and moving the manure pile. I don't know if you guys remember the monstrosity of a manure pile that we had. It's 10 plus years of manure, but we have been systematically using Bob Kitty to fill the manure spreader attached to Tool Kitty. We can get a whopping 2 buckets in the manure spreader, but 2 buckets is better than nothing. And then I've been going and I've been spreading it on the pastures in places where they really could use some more nutrients. So Eric loads me up, and then I go spread for a while, and while I'm gone, he's been doing all that work on the dirt, and it's never looked that good. It looks amazing. So then we'll just need to seed it, and our hope is all the nasty bad weather they were predicting, super cold temperatures and snow and that kind of thing, that's not going to happen. But maybe we're going to get some rain the next couple of days. So we're hoping all this really good compost that we've been spreading on the pastures will get soaked down into the ground with the rain, and hopefully we can make the pastures a whole lot happier. This last load in, and then we'll be off and running. Really, two buckets is a very, very full load in the poor manure spreader. But it gets it in there every time. Pasture hasn't gotten any smoother. Not any of the times I've driven over it. He's still pretty good though. Plan from here is to fill up the manure spreader one more time and spread it, and then save what's left because it's really good soil for putting other places we need soil. Like we put some in the garden, and we need to put some over where we've had the scrap telephone poles stockpiled, because when they came, actually I guess it was the load of concrete. We got a load of scrap concrete that nobody wanted anymore, and it came with a bunch of dirt. It's over there. We need to move that, and then probably put some good dirt in. So it's another logic puzzle. We're gonna save what we have left to put places that we might not know we need to put it yet. So many moving pieces. This area that we're going to spread in was, I'm going to call it blighted by thorn trees. Just absolutely massively grown up in thorn trees. And we've systematically been destroying those, but the ground is not healthy, which is why it was grown up in thorn trees. So we're going to spread some of the good dirt. Sorry, it's really rough. Hopefully we can get better vegetation to grow instead of thorn trees, because nobody likes those. Alright, that was some serious off-road manure spreading that required both hands and all my attention, so you didn't get to ride along. But we spread way off down there in the valley, and hopefully it'll help the grass.